how can the group experience this? Only in workshop, or is there sometimes more than a workshop?
Well, workshops, Gurdjieff movement workshops are kind of a public. No, Gurdjieff, all workshops are public. Gurdjieff movement's workshops are happening more and more these days, but 15, 16 years ago you would never hear of such a thing. That is to teach these dances publicly. It was hidden. Why was it hidden? Many traditions have felt that the work of transformation that the tradition has is not necessarily something that everybody wanted, or I don't know to answer your question that way, because I'm of the generation of the 60s in which everything was changing. I can speculate as to why it was hidden. It was hidden because the work of transformation, it's not so much that it's not easy, but that in many ways it goes against the conditioning of life, of ordinary life, or the conditioning of our societies, and therefore can be misunderstood. So I don't know. But your original question was, where can people learn these besides workshops? Well, they must find Gurdjieff groups, and they must find a Gurdjieff group in which they are currently or actively practicing the movements. The movements and the dances are a part, an integrated part of the Gurdjieff work, but they're not necessary for the Gurdjieff work. They're not necessary for the work of transformation, but they can certainly help people to accelerate that work and even to deepen their own appreciation and understanding of it. The workshops have been going on now for maybe 15 years. I'm actually one person who was responsible for making the movements more public than they have ever been. There have been other students of Gurdjieff who were responsible for making the work more public than it had been in the time of Gurdjieff. But the times have changed. In Gurdjieff's days, and in those days, there were not that many people with the time and the money to give up life for a while and go to somewhere, to a school or to a center to learn how to develop oneself internally. Religions have always been the place where they go, but they would give up their outside life and they would join a religious community. This work was meant to be done in life.
You said before you don't you don't like the word learn, but if somebody is interested in the movements and somebody has to learn or participate in the group or whatever it is, but
well, one of the reasons I don't like the word learn is because it's been misused. I mean, we all know what learning and education...
Is it never ending?
Is what never ending? The process of transformation?
No, of learning, the process.
Real learning is never ending. Real transformation is never ending. My teacher, John Bennett, who was a direct student of Gurdjieff, in his later life used the phrase continuous education, talked about transformation as a continuous education that even goes on after death. So yes, if people want to learn, want to study, want to practice, I prefer practice and study to learning, because learning is one of those things that have been misused. We have all these centers of learning out there called, colleges and universities, and basically they just produce, people who will fit into society in general. High school just produces people who will fit into a certain little box in the world, go get a job, get married, and do these kinds of things. So I think there's a deep misunderstanding of what real learning is. And so if you use the word, or we're using the word, I personally feel that I would like to be more clear about what is meant by learning, something. And in this case, it has to do with an inner activity, this activity between our attention and our body, and how we can work with that activity, how we can develop it, and how we can use it to take the body where we wish it to go. Take the arms, take the gestures, take the dance to become the dance.
Yeah, but, can you tell from your own experience how is the impact of the movement?
Yes, and I have to begin with the impact of what we call sensing, which is this activity of attention inside the body. I keep coming back to this because this is the basic, not just practice, but the basic movement that human beings can do, and it is actually, again, perhaps unique about human beings, so that we can be aware of ourselves, not just aware of how we are walking, but aware of the energy inside our body. And this is very similar to meditation. And for any of your listeners, it's very similar to some of the Vipassana, the Buddhist Vipassana meditation practices. Except we do more with this activity. It's not just a seeing for us, that's the first step. We actually have aims and intentions for what we do with the energy in the body. Once we become deeply aware of it, once it begins to move in different parts of the body, we have very specific aims of how to use it, how to blend it, mix it together with other kinds of energies in the body in order again to develop other energies, this process of transformation. So I must speak about that activity of attention. And when I was first introduced to this kind of sensing 30 years ago, it deeply touched me, because it's something that I had experienced before through taking drugs, but had never known that it was something that I could actually bring into myself simply by learning how to move my attention intentionally inside the body, becoming aware of experiences inside the body. So this is the foundation of the movements practice. And the movements, the dances, the movements practice use this as we go through them. And it, as I said before, it gives life. It gives the real life to the movement. So for myself, I've noticed over the years, sorry to be so trivial with the word, but a more harmonious experience of my own body and how it moves through life and how it relates to other people and how it relates to itself and how it deals with tensions, how it deals with physiological problems that it might have, even how it deals with emotional problems. That through the practice of sensing, which we work at, not just in a meditation that we do in the morning, but also throughout the day, the body, my life, has become more balanced, more harmonious. I'm much nicer now than I was 20 years ago. Of course, some friends might not believe that, but they didn't know me 20 years ago. If you can say, is one of the benefits of the movements. There's so much you can talk about in this because the practices are so useful in life. This particular practice of sensing the inside and simultaneously being aware of the outside. It's not just useful in the movements, but it's so useful in life. And it's useful in this process of transformation. can't really speak about the movements outside of the Gurdjieff work of transformation. And that work has a specific aim, an aim to further develop the human body's potential. That is what this work believes is to create other kinds of bodies. You might call it a sensation body, an astral body, another kind of presence, a soul, if you like. And one begins to experience that through this practice of meditation, and also meditation in action by being in life with this attention, and that something in your own body begins to have an independent experience. That therefore your ordinary thoughts and feelings are not that easily caught up in what is happening to you or outside of you. Or if they get caught up, they very quickly fade away, the emotional reactions or the physiological pain very more quickly fades away. That's what I've noticed over the years. I still do stupid things, and say stupid things, and, have people react to me in stupid ways, and I get offended, but it doesn't last as long. In fact, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So one thing you notice is you begin to develop a more impartial or independent relationship with respect to your own mechanical human nature, with respect to your own physiological human nature, so that something inside of you begins to grow that is independent of literally what happens to you. And I would say this is the biggest blessing that has come from this kind of work, for me personally, and other people have similar experiences. An interesting thing for me is this word movement. In my presentation to people about the Gurdjieff dances, I have taken a phrase or an expression from somewhere else. I can't remember who the person was, one of Gurdjieff's direct students, who used this expression from stillness. Stillness. Now see, there's an interesting word to translate in German. But from stillness the dance arises. And stillness is not tension. In fact, stillness has a lot of movement in it. It has the movement of the blood in your body. It has the movement of the life in your body. It has the movement of the energy in your body. It has the movement of the experience of your breath in your body. It has the movement of weight. There's this constant weight on the body due to gravity, due to the earth, moving constantly, pulling the body down, inviting it to relax and let go. Stillness, real stillness, has a movement that we call relaxation. Very deep when you can come to it on the molecular level. So it's not the relaxation of someone who's taken a drug and just falls down on the floor. It's a relaxation of all the tensions, of all the worries, of all the problems in the body draining away, and allowing the life to fill up the body, which it naturally does and naturally wants to do. A child naturally grows in a healthy environment with healthy people around it. A child naturally grows. No parent says to the child, grow, 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 because we know life will naturally grow and move upward and outward. So we try to come to this. So there's this play on words. To be still in the right way, to let go in the right way, allows for a deeper movement in the body. Once in connection with that, then we can choose how to move the body. And that choice is the dance, whichever dance we want to perform or to work with. And I like that. That's interesting to me. It's exciting that stillness and movement are really the same thing. I think there's a great potential in the Gurdjieff dances because they can bring people to the experience of this kind of work of transformation very immediately and very definitely. And then people can decide whether this is something for them, if they want to continue this through their life. It's not necessary. All that's necessary is that we don't kill each other, be nice to each other, make babies. You know, that's what's necessary for nature, for the planet to continue to grow and evolve. But then if you take what many people believe God, or even the sun, Mr. Sun out there, have some other kind of aim for the earth, then there might be a role that human beings can play, because we have the possibility of acting intentionally. We misuse it all the time. You know, all these wars and all this stupidity is the misuse of this intentional possibility that we can actually do something intentionally. We have the possibility of acting intentionally inside our bodies with the natural processes of the energies in the body, and to facilitate them to continue to grow and to develop. We might call it other bodies, but it really is a further development of this body, but which presents itself as another kind of body, a sensation.
Gurdjieff has developed, or Hartmann has developed, or is it has it changed?
No, the music, it needs to be mentioned, is a very important part of the work of the movements. Of course, in the dances, listening to the music, actively listening and hearing it in an open way, is integral to the energy that is transformed for the movements. The music becomes the active force in us once we learn the movement, the dance, and even in the learning of it. We learn how to be open to the music, how to divide our attention between the energy in our body and the energy of the movement, of the music. Allows the music to come in and to be an activity in us that is further transformed into the energy for the movement. And listening, and Gurdjieff himself developed and remembered many melodies from the monasteries and the schools that he visited in his search in Central Asia and North Africa. And there's different qualities of movements. Some of them are from the Sufi tradition, the dervish tradition, and from North Africa, and this music is very powerful, very strong in the North African dervish communities. Others from Central Asia.
You are using piano, the piano.
It is always done by live piano music.
No other instruments.
Other instruments are possible, yes, of course. But the instrument of the day in Gurdjieff's time was the piano, particularly because he met Thomas de Hartmann, who was a pianist and a composer of music. So when he was developing these in the West, he was using piano. But since then, the music has been transcribed and other instruments are used. Some of the music has even been orchestrated for the movements. Other instruments, I'm not a musician, I mean drums as well as, I don't know. But you can use any instrument you want, yeah. But live music is essential to the learning process. I never work with taped music, and I even highly suggest to people never to even practice with taped music. If you do not have the opportunity to work with a group and a live piano player, and you wish to practice on your own because that's necessary, then you understand and experience the rhythm in your body, which is primary. The rhythm is the drum beat of the body on the earth, and also it's the heartbeat. So this is very essential and also very real, that rhythm is primary. And we move to that rhythm. And just moving to rhythm on the earth, there's a response. The life in your body moves. Your attention goes there. It further moves with another quality of energy, and you can practice or experience the movements on your own.